In a fateful confrontation, Bisola and Anita face off, the tension thick with betrayal and the stakes rising higher than ever. As Anita lunges at Bisola, a child's innocent question shatters the darkness, forcing both women to confront the true cost of their choices. With Hakim caught in the crossfire, Bisola's protective instincts ignite, revealing a fierce determination to shield her family from the encroaching shadows. But as Anita's twisted ambitions culminate in a catastrophic mistake, the fragile balance of love and betrayal threatens to unravel, leaving Tobi to grapple with the fallout of his own decisions. The night becomes a battleground not just for their lives, but for the very essence of family and trust. As the storm rages, the path to redemption will demand more than just forgiveness, it will require an unwavering commitment to rebuild what has been shattered. Anita's anger flared, her eyes ablaze with rage. "You'll regret this, Bisola. You think you can keep him forever? You're just holding him back." Her words, laced with venom, hung in the air like a dark cloud, threatening to suffocate Bisola. As Anita stormed out, slamming the door behind her, Bisola felt a whirlwind of emotions crash over her: fear, determination, and a flicker of hope. Bisola's heart raced as she grasped the gravity of her situation. She needed to uncover Anita's true intentions before it was too late. The following day dawned grey and heavy, mirroring her mood as she set to work. She decided to document every interaction with Anita, meticulously gathering evidence of her manipulations and deceit. Each day, she noted their conversations, replaying them in her mind like a film reel, searching for inconsistencies and hidden meanings. Anita's subtle jabs and sly comments transformed into a web of treachery that Bisola could no longer ignore. She started collecting small tokens of Anita's influence: notes, trinkets, anything that revealed the truth behind her facade. As Bisola combed through her memories, she recalled the moment Anita had offered her that suspicious drink. What if that wasn't the first time? The chilling realization sent a shiver down her spine. Had Anita been plotting against her all along? Determined to expose the truth, Bisola arranged to meet with Aishetu again, seeking guidance from the elder who had warned her of Anita's true nature. She poured out her fears and the evidence she had collected, hoping Aishetu could help her decipher the tangled threads of deception. But as she shared her findings, she sensed a shift in the air, a ripple of impending danger. Anita was still lacking, and time was running out. With each passing moment, the news tightened around Bisola's family, and she knew she had to act quickly. As she left Aishetu's home, a surge of resolve filled her. She would not let Anita destroy everything she cherished. The battle lines were drawn, and Bisola steeled herself for the fight ahead, knowing that the stakes had never been higher. The threads of deceit were beginning to unravel, but at what cost? Hakim, innocent and unaware, found himself caught in the turmoil that had engulfed his family. One sunny afternoon, as he played in the garden, he overheard a heated discussion between his parents drifting through the open window. The sharpness of their voices, laced with tension, pierced his childlike bliss, leaving a nagging unease in his heart. Sensing the palpable sadness that had settled over their home like a heavy fog, Hakim's brow furrowed with concern. He felt the storm brewing around him, the winds of change swirling ominously. Gathering his courage, he approached his father, who stood with his back to him, his silhouette tense against the backdrop of the setting sun. "Papa, is everything okay? You and Mama seem sad," Hakim asked, his voice small but sincere. Tobi, guilt-ridden and conflicted, knelt down to Hakim's level, searching for the right words to shield his son from the chaos unfolding. "We are just having some grown-up problems, my son. But we'll figure it out," he replied, forcing a reassuring smile that felt like a fragile mask over his mounting anxiety. But Hakim's gaze held an uncharacteristic intensity, as if he sensed more than his father was willing to admit. "Can I help? I don't like it when you're both sad," he said, his innocence shining through the dark clouds of discord surrounding them. Tobi's heart twisted at the sight of his son's earnest face, realizing the weight of the burden he had unknowingly placed on Hakim's small shoulders. "No, my boy, it's not something you can fix. Just know that your mama and I love you very much," he said softly, brushing a hand through Hakim's hair. As they sat together, a moment of calm enveloped them, but the shadows lurked nearby. Hakim, with his wide, trusting eyes, remained blissfully unaware of the machinations at play, of Anita's manipulations that threatened to tear their family apart. Suddenly, Hakim looked up, his voice breaking the tension. "Is it Anita?" he asked innocently, catching both parents off guard. The room fell silent, and a chill crept into the air. In that moment, the fragile peace shattered, revealing the truth that even a child could sense, a truth that would force Tobi to confront the darkness surrounding them. The storm was closer than they realized, and Hakim's question hung in the air, echoing the fears that both parents had tried so hard to shield him from. With a heavy heart, Tobi understood that the battle was not just between him and Anita, it was about protecting Hakim's innocence, a fight that was about to escalate in ways he could never have imagined. After days of quiet investigation, the tension within Bisola reached a boiling point. She could no longer hold back the storm of emotions swirling inside her. As Tobi returned home one evening, Bisola stood waiting, her heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. "I know about Anita's intentions," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "I overheard her planning to harm me." Tobi's face turned pale, disbelief flickering in his eyes. "You're mistaken, Bisola. Anita wouldn't." The moment he uttered those words, Bisola felt her heart splinter. "She is trying to eliminate me, Tobi. She wants you for herself." Her voice cracked under the weight of her pain, echoing through the room like a desperate plea. The air thickened with tension, the silence palpable as the truth began to settle between them. Tobi's loyalty was being tested, and the facade of their life together began to crumble. Bisola's desperation clawed at him, a raw intensity that demanded attention. Suddenly, Bisola's voice dropped to a whisper filled with anguish. "You have to choose, Tobi. Do you trust me, or do you believe the lies she's woven?" In that moment, the dam broke. Tobi's mind raced, memories flooding back, Anita's manipulative comments, the way she had wormed her way into their lives under the guise of friendship. Doubt crept in, but the thought of losing Bisola felt like a knife twisting in his gut. He hesitated, the weight of his indecision palpable, and Bisola's eyes glistened with unshed tears, reflecting both her fear and resolve. "I fought for us, for our family," she continued, her voice trembling but fierce. "I refused to let her tear us apart without a fight." The revelation of Anita's true nature hung heavy in the air, and Tobi felt the ground shifting beneath him. The time for denial was over, the truth had come crashing in like a tidal wave. He stepped back, the gravity of the situation washing over him. "Tell me everything," he demanded, his voice barely above a whisper, the trust he had in Bisola now interwoven with the fear of what had been hidden from him. Bisola nodded, steeling herself for the confession that could either heal their fractured bond or plunge them deeper into chaos. The reckoning was upon them, and in that moment, they stood at a precipice, the future uncertain but the truth finally laid bare. Driven by fear and desperation, Anita's ambitions morphed into a wicked frenzy, fueled by the belief that Bisola was the only obstacle standing between her and the life she coveted. The night was heavy with foreboding as she resolved to confront her once beloved friend, vowing to rid herself of her rival once and for all. Under the cover of darkness, Anita slipped into Bisola's home, her heart racing with sinister intent, each creak of the floorboards echoing like a countdown to a confrontation. But Bisola was not defenseless. Anticipating Anita's move, she had prepared her own trap, setting the stage for a showdown that felt inevitable. Candles flickered in the corners of the dimly lit room, casting long shadows that danced like specters around them, heightening the tension. When Anita entered, the atmosphere shifted, thickening with animosity as the two women faced each other, their eyes locking in a fierce duel of wills. Bisola stood tall, her resolve shining even in the dim light, while Anita's posture radiated a wild, desperate energy. "What do you want, Anita?" Bisola's voice cut through the silence, steady but laced with an undercurrent of fear. "You can't have my life." Anita stepped closer, a mocking smile curling her lips. "Oh, Bisola, you're mistaken if you think I'm going to walk away. This ends tonight." Her tone dripped with malice, and in that moment, the air crackled with unresolved tension. As Anita lunged forward, Bisola sprang into action, revealing the trap she had set. Annette carefully concealed in the shadows ensnared Anita, pulling her off balance and forcing her to the ground. The surprise flickered across Anita's face, transforming into rage. "Did you really think you could outsmart me?" Bisola said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "You've underestimated my will to protect my family." Anita struggled against the bindings, her fury morphing into desperation. "You'll regret this. You think you can keep him from me?" she spat, her voice thick with venom. The room pulsed with intensity as Bisola stood over her, breathing heavily, the weight of the confrontation crashing down around them. This was the moment of truth, two women entwined in a battle for their lives, their loves, and their very identities. In the dim light, Bisola knew that the outcome of this night would shape their destinies forever. "Betray your friend?" Anita's face twisted in rage. "Because you have everything I want. I was willing to play nice, but you had to get in the way." In a moment of desperation, Anita lunged at Bisola, but Bisola dodged, leading to a struggle that echoed through the night. In the chaos, Hakim awakened, his small heart pounding as he rushed toward the commotion. "Mama! What's happening?" His innocent voice pierced the tension, causing both women to freeze in their tracks. Bisola's eyes widened as she saw her son. Gaining strength from his presence, as she called out, "Hakim, stay back." Her protective instinct surged, pushing aside her fear. But as Anita turned her gaze to the boy, her expression morphed from rage to something more sinister, a cunning smile spreading across her face. "You could join me, Hakim. Wouldn't it be better to have a new family?" Her voice dripped with false sweetness, a stark contrast to the threat hanging in the air. Hakim, terrified and confused, took a hesitant step closer to Bisola, instinctively reaching for her. Bisola enveloped him in her arms, holding him tightly, shielding him from the darkness that threatened to consume them both. "Stay with me, Hakim," Bisola whispered, her voice trembling yet resolute. She could feel her heart racing, each beat a reminder of what was at stake. The room felt charged with impending doom, the air thick with tension. Anita's smile faltered as she watched the bond between mother and son. "You're making a mistake, Hakim. Your mother is weak. She can't protect you from what's coming." Her words hung in the air like a taunt, trying to wedge fear between them. "No," Hakim cried, clinging tighter to Bisola. "I want Mama." The strength of his voice startled both women, and for a moment, the world around them seemed to stand still. Bisola felt a surge of determination. She had to show Hakim that love was stronger than deceit. "We're a family, Hakim. We'll always be together, and no matter what." Her eyes locked onto Anita's, her silent challenge hanging in the air. As the tension escalated, Bisola knew that this moment could change everything. The struggle was no longer just between her and Anita, it was about protecting her child and standing firm against the darkness that sought to tear them apart. As Anita prepared the potion in secret, her heart raced with anticipation. She meticulously measured each herb, whispering incantations under her breath, convinced this was her path to power. The potion shimmered ominously in the moonlight, its dark liquid swirling with an enticing glow. On the night of her planned betrayal, she waited until the household was quiet, preparing to slip the potion into Bisola's drink. As she crept through the darkened halls, her mind was clouded with ambition and desire. But fate had other plans. In her haste, Anita knocked over a small vase, shattering it against the stone floor. The noise echoed through the stillness of the night, and panic surged through her. In a flurry to escape detection, she grabbed the potion vial, unaware that in her distraction, she had mistakenly swapped her carefully crafted potion with a flask of herbal tea she had prepared earlier for herself. As she took a long, satisfying sip from the flask, the surge of satisfaction washed over her. "Just a little more, and Bisola will be out of the way," she murmured to herself, feeling invincible. But within moments, a burning sensation began to claw at her throat. Anita's eyes widened in horror as the reality hit her. She had consumed the very potion meant to incapacitate Bisola. Panic set in, and she stumbled, clutching her stomach as waves of nausea crashed over her. "No. This can't be happening," she gasped, collapsing to the ground. The pain was relentless, the sharp reminder of her hubris. She writhed in agony, the potion working against her as it twisted through her veins, revealing her true self, a manifestation of her greed and ambition. The commotion attracted the attention of the villagers, who gathered around Anita's crumpled form in shock. As she lay gasping for breath, the darkness of her intentions became apparent to everyone watching. "I wanted what was never mine," she wheezed, tears streaming down her face, a mixture of regret and desperation. "In my greed, I've lost everything." Her voice was barely a whisper, yet it resonated deeply with those present, reflecting the consequences of her actions. The villagers, witnessing her torment, turned away in disgust. They had seen the once lively woman transform into a hollow shell consumed by ambition, and they felt no pity for the path she had chosen. Tobi, horrified by the extent of Anita's betrayal, fell to his knees beside her, realizing he had lost not only his wife's trust but also the love he had squandered for a fleeting desire. "Anita, what have you done?" he murmured, as he reached for her hand, desperate for answers. Anita's spirit crumbled further. "I thought I could take what was yours," she confessed, her voice filled with regret. "But I was only taking from myself." In that moment, as she gasped for breath, Anita's mind drifted back to the love she never truly had for Tobi, admitting to herself that her feelings were rooted in a twisted desire for power and security. As her breathing slowed, Tobi rushed to Bisola, begging for forgiveness. "I was blinded by my own weakness," he cried. "Please, I will do anything to make this right." Bisola, though deeply hurt, recognized the pain in his eyes. "Trust must be rebuilt, Tobi. I will not forget what you've done, but for Hakim's sake, we must try to heal." And so, in the wake of betrayal and loss, Bisola and Tobi embarked on a long journey toward forgiveness, their love tested but ultimately strengthened. Hakim, witnessing the turmoil, grew wise beyond his years, learning the invaluable lessons of trust, love, and the consequences of greed.